You are audible, madam.
Yeah, a very warm greetings to all the participants and good morning, Dr. Tonapi. And thank you very much for inviting me to this event. Thank you, Dr. Dayakar. And also very warm greetings to Dr. Bandari, a very close friend of mine, and also the DG from ICRISAT. Once again, very warm greetings to all the participants. And also I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate IIM for Best Award from ICAR. That's really very great. And also I heard just now that you're hand holding so many incubators. That work is really commendable. Yeah. So this webinar on millets is as smart food is a very good initiative. So in this talk of 10 minutes, I'll be sharing some of the results of our meta-analysis. This is the first meta-analysis done on millets from NIN, and there are some few interesting results. Not many studies are there, but even the few studies that have been done are showing very interesting results. So millets has been there in the human diet for thousands of years, tens and thousands of years around the world, although it has always occupied lesser place when compared to rice and wheat. But now the proportion has come down drastically, and from our NNMB data itself we see that originally it used to be around at least 100 grams per day, but now it has come down to 30 grams per day per individual. While polished cereals like rice and wheat are increasing drastically. Then that's mostly because of PDS also. The focus on high yielding crops such as wheat and rice to meet the demand for food security also resulted in policies favoring their cultivation. But what is important to understand is subsisting on diets that lack diversity and depending on a single type of food, cereal, that is like rice in south and wheat in north, has resulted in increasing burden of diseases. We have to realize this, and it's very, very important. Yes, India has made a lot of good progress in terms of reducing communicable infectious diseases, but then in terms of non-communicable diseases, it's increasing. And it can be probably because of increased intake of one type of food, that is basically cereals in large quantities. If you see 1 in 4 individuals and 1 in 5 individuals from urban area, that is 1/4, about 25%, and 20% of our urban Indians suffer from hypertension and diabetes, and slightly lesser level, but also at a very high public health problem in rural areas also. In rural areas also, they suffer from hypertension and diabetes, and that is increasing in the last 1 to 2 decades. It is important to get the required micronutrients and quality protein and fatty acids. For this, to get different types of micronutrients in adequate quantities, and also to get the quality protein, that is important amino acids and important fatty acids, diversity of foods is very important. Subsisting on single type of cereal is going to create problems. So millets are nutritionally superior, all of us know very well, to rice and wheat. They contain a high amount of proteins and then a variety of amino acids, then quite rich in dietary fibers, and also micronutrients, especially coming to zinc and iron, they are quite high compared to even rice and wheat. Micronutrients such as vitamins and mineral deficiencies, certain essential fatty acids, essential amino acids are actually central to the resilient problem of anemia and stunting, and also for the increasing risk of non-communicable diseases. Actually, the micronutrients that are required for growth of children are also important in several metabolic pathways that reduce the risk of diabetes and coronary heart disease. Very few people realize this. Like if diversity in food is lacking, it not only causes stunting and wasting, but it also causes increased risk of NCDs. That is the reason we are seeing hypertension and diabetes even among the poor. It is no longer a disease of rich. So dietary diversity is the cornerstone for achieving optimal nutritional status and consequent reduction in this communicable and not only non-communicable but also communicable diseases, because for communicable diseases we need to have optimal immune function, which again depends on variety of micronutrients and amino acids. But there are some studies and people showing, there are some studies showing poor absorption, bioavailability of iron, for instance, and poor digestibility of protein. A very late recent report from India has shown that digestibility of this thing is very poor, but we must take this challenge head on. We should not shy away from this, and we should say, yes, This is true not only with respect to millets, but also with any whole grain. Any whole grain you take, it comes with a packet of all rich, it comes with a package of all rich in minerals and vitamins, like minerals and vitamins, and also essential amino acids and essential fatty acids. But it also has some anti-nutrient factors, not only millets, but it is also true with respect to whole grains and also pulses. Because this poor digestibility has also been shown with pulses where the carb is not removed. Also, there is criticism saying that when you increase the consumption of millets, you get goiter, you get anemia. But see, the point is, these studies have shown that if millets consumption is to the extent of 73%, more than 70% of the calories is coming from millets, or more than recommended level of, but this is true even with rice. In India, more than actually the recommended level of cereals and millet should be 45% of total calories per day. So if you cross that limit, if it is more than 70%, not only goiter, you will see many other diseases, not just with respect to millets, but even with respect to cereals like rice and wheat. That we must realize, and that point should be very strong. Single kind of grain, not just with respect to millets, but even with respect to rice and wheat, it is going to cause problems. That we should keep in mind and take a balanced approach and see that millets is there on everybody's plate. So our analysis has shown with respect to diversity that not more than 45% of energy should come from rice, wheat, including millets. So as per the recommendation, even from the WHO, they say, when we include cereals to the extent of 45% of energy per day, 50% of that should be whole grains. So remember, if it is 45% energy from cereals and millets, 50% of this, that is around 30% of a calorie, 25 to 30% of a calories can come from millets in a day. That means when you include cereals and millets, 40 to 50% can come from millets, not just plain rice and wheat. So if you derive energy from a single source that I have already mentioned, now coming to our system as meta-analysis, we performed a systematic review and also meta-analysis, and the results show that finger millet supplementation in a diet had a positive effect on the glycemic index value of the study population. Now this is a very well-known factor because they are very high in fiber. We do see glycemic index, positive effect on glycemic index, and it is a very desirable effect in adults, particularly when you want to reduce the insulin resistance. It's known factor. But what was interesting from this meta-analysis is it also did not affect the absorption of minerals in the study population, even among children. There is a lot of criticism that if you take millets, there are anti-nutrients and it can have adverse effects on minerals. But in the meta-analysis that we had done, there was no decrease in minerals when millets were supplemented with respect to kodo millet, finger millet, many other millets. About 7 to 9 millets studies have been done. And in some small studies, they have shown increase in mineral composition, mineral serum levels of minerals in children. This is again a very interesting finding. Actually, we expect reduction in minerals going by lots of fiber that is there, lots of anti-nutrients that is there in the millets. But in contrast, what we saw is there was the serum levels of minerals was not affected, and also there was increase in minerals in some population, although there were no positive effects on growth parameters because it was a very short-term study. So millets diet have a low glycemic index compared to regular rice or wheat-based diet. So at least 20% energy can, as per our calculation from my plate for the day from NIN, at least 20% energy per day may be consumed from millets. That works out to about, like for example, 270 grams of cereals per day means, imagine, at least 100 grams or little more than 100 grams of millets per day can be consumed easily, which will regulate your insulin, glycemic index, your insulin resistance, reduce inflammation, probably also, of course, on immunity we do not have, probably can also optimize your immune function. Therefore, coming to this PDS, our public distribution system, which is one of the largest food security system in the world, essentially aims to ensure caloric adequacy to its beneficiary through food grains such as rice and wheat. More than 1/3 of the quantity of these grains is procured in Punjab, Haryana, Western UP and the Godavari Basin. That is, what I'm trying to tell is some states have actually made effort to replace a portion of rice and millet in the wheat in the PDS system, but it did not gain much momentum because different stakeholders have to get involved in improving this wholeheartedly. So India is currently grappling with high prevalence of micronutrient deficiencies as well as rapidly rising burden of non-communicable diseases. So if we have to address this, we go on telling that my nutrition status has to improve, but then for this diversity has to improve. Diversity means it's not just with respect to vegetables and fruits and with respect to pulses, but it also is very important with respect to cereals. Currently, the kind of millets that we are, cereals that we are consuming is just rice in the southern region and wheat in the northern region. 40% of this rice and wheat of security, also to protect and gas emission. It implies expanding the present basket to include coarse grains along with rice and wheat. Such a shift will also trigger changes in the crop production and also consumption pattern themselves, incentivizing the farmers, which in turn will influence outcomes on other dimensions such as groundwater depletion and nutrition status of household. Given these potential multidimensional processes, the feasibility and success of expanding PDS depends on robust monitoring and evaluation agenda that should be integrated into the implementation plan. So some evidence-based recommendation, stronger recommendation has to come up, and right after the meta-analysis, particularly with this latest results and all, I feel that Indian Institute of Millets Research and National Institute of Nutrition from Indian Council of Medical Research should join hands and come up with strong science-based recommendation for PDS system, to change the PDS system, and also recommendations for other people who are not into the PDS basket to increase their millet consumptions on everyday basis to reduce the rising epidemic of diabetes, hypertension, and also to improve the nutrition status of children. And I congratulate once again the Millet Research Institute for taking this good initiative, and I hope we get millets on everyone's plate by 2022.